10 and more years elapsed, and Balestrini decided to start another experience, and it was Alfabeta. Alfabeta was not a meeting of veterans of the previous avant-garde, because Balestrini had the idea to put together some of his friends that took part in the Group 63, but other, for instance, distinguished philologists, even though very open-minded, like Maria Corti, that then was able to write a marvelous essay on rock, but she was really an academic, or writers who didn't have any contact with the Group 63, like Volponi, or people like Leonetti, people coming from the Group 63, like Antonio Porta, before his death, and many young people who entered in Alfabeta. So Alfabeta was not an avant-garde review, and not necessarily an experimental review. It was open to what happened around it, and what was happened was very embarrassing at that time, because the beginning of Alfabeta coincided with the maximum explosion of terrorism, with certain judiciary operation by which people supposed to support or not support the terrorists, like Tony Negri, had to expatriate, etc. And Alfabeta tried to keep, even Balestrini, who was supposed to be linked to extreme left groups, had to expatriate in France. Then it was proved that he had nothing to do, and he returned. But Alfabeta, representing such a various gamut of people, obviously all left-oriented, like to see, but with ever many shades of difference, was in any way a presence in the Italian literature. I remember that I didn't realize it at that moment. It was later, and especially when they decided to rejuvenate the experience with Alfabeta #2, then we met a lot of young people saying, oh, for us, Alfabeta #1, which lasted less than 10 years, was a great experience that opened out. We didn't realize it. We made weekly meetings that were very, very, very amusing. We invented also, let's say, literary parodies, fine Alphabetas, an avant-garde journal. It was a modern journal made by a series of middle-aged, young and middle-aged authors. Finish of the story of Alfabeta #1.
When did you stop?
When?
Why did you stop?
You know, there is not only avant-garde that has the necessity to commit suicide. I have the theory that a literary review at a certain moment must recognize that its parable has finished and must stop. I have the pride to have participated in the assassination of many reviews, because I had the critical sensation. It's just a moment. To live is like with a love relationship, my dear. Better to stop instead of quarreling all the day and disturbing kids and so on. So Balestrini, in a subterranean way, kept a continuous contact with the new generation. So it was the first time that the new generation, the young poets, Scarpa, Nove, all these guys,
who are all writers that came out in the 90s. Let's say they,
through Balestrini, were linked to the experience of the early avant-garde. They respected very much a poet like Sanguinetti. So it was the first time that it was going up a new generation that wanted to do everything, obviously something different from the previous one, but that accepted a sort of link with the 63 generation. And so we arrived to Alfabeta number 2, the second series, which the risk, I told Balestrini that was the risk, is to make a journal of veterans that with their 80 years continue to make a lyric remembrance of the lost past, recherche du temps perdu. Well, it didn't happen. If you follow these 14 numbers, you find no more than 3 or 4 dinosaurs. So Zozzoli was my age, still writing on scientific problem. I made 1 or 2 articles. A little younger than us, Calabrese was one of the founders, but all the rest are a new group of people that comes from online literary magazines, like Nazione Indiana, the English critics like Cortellessa. I must say, when I started to meet them, it was people I didn't know. Balestrini, yes, because interwoven continuous links between those groups. But I didn't know that. I know that what were called some 10 years ago the cannibals, which were another avant-garde group, Nove, etc. Those that I said were not denying the previous influence. But those who are taking care of Alfabeta too, like Cortellessa, Inglese, and many others, are really a new generation that personally I didn't know because I was busy with something else. Also because I have always said that after his or her 50s, a thinker or a critic has to deal only with Elizabethan poets, not with contemporary writers. And that was I did, not Elizabethan poem, I don't know, medieval researches and many other things, even with my students when I started in the 60s to be concerned with semiotics of cinema, television, and now stop. I'm dealing only with the general philosophical problems because the young people they have a smell I have obviously lost. They have an energy. They are capable of reactions of a new kind of reactions in face of new phenomena. That's why I was a little detached from that kind of, and I find them here. And I discovered a lot today in the airplane. I was writing the last 2 issues that I brought with me. For instance, the abilities of Marone to say, be aware of indignation. Those indignados that are everywhere. Moment, what does it mean? Indignation can be a negative phenomenon. So you see, the new generation is already criticized certain behavior of their companion.
So, as Umberto Eco was saying, each issue is dedicated to an artist in Paris Cornelis. And you have things like this. Let's see what Umberto Eco says. Alfabeto per l'intero